Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro are out now, and I did not get any early special time with it, but instead, I just installed it like a couple of hours ago, and I wanted to mess around with some of the new features and just the apps in general to get a very early first impressions to share with you all. And with that said, be sure to like and subscribe and all of that so you don't miss more videos in the future, especially with WWDC right around the corner. Plenty of new content coming. Okay, so my first impressions around Final Cut Pro is that it's actually a pretty different app compared to the desktop app, which I mean, I was expecting, but also not really. I mean, I assumed a lot of things would be in the same spot and a lot of the options and settings would be kind of all in the same general area, but that's just not the case. There's a little bit of a learning curve here, which definitely bummed me out at first. The inspector window is off to the left, which I mean, the location isn't that big of a deal, but when you open it up and really start to dive in, there's a lot of different things that you need to learn and a lot of different changes. And then everything that was usually on the left is now on the right. Up at the top here, there are a couple of different tabs that you would click and options would expand, and it's just different. And that's fine, but it's just gonna take some time. Definitely 2 hours worth of messing around, or really an hour, isn't going to be enough. So as I said, it's gonna take a little bit of time, and I do plan to fully edit one of my own videos with Final Cut Pro, but as of right now, when you initially subscribe and get your free month, it does offer you the ability to download a sample project in order to just dive right in, and that's exactly what I did. And the first thing I wanted to try out was the Apple Pencil integration, which is why I'm holding this right here. There are two main features for that. Number one being this new live draw feature, which lets you tap on this little icon of the Apple Pencil at the top here, the markup icon, very noticeable, and you can draw, as I did here, directly onto the clip, and then whatever you do draw is actually animated out for you in real time. Now you'll need to mess around with that live draw clip in order to get like the full animation done. It kind of cuts off short for some reason, but you can adjust the length and the time of it in order to fit your actual project timeline. Apple Pencil Hover is the other main feature, and it works pretty well where you can kind of scrub through the timeline, your clips, your effects, preview things, menu options, all of that in real time, again, with the Apple Pencil Hover feature. And it's pretty cool to be able to preview all of those things without actually having to touch and adjust anything. The next new useful feature is the jog wheel, and that's at the top right corner. It's kind of like the third option in, and when you click on that, it brings up a little box that you can drag around. It's not fully movable, like you can't bring it to the middle, but you can bring it to either the left or the right side, and then you can tap on it to expand, and it basically jets out of the side, and you just kind of scroll with your finger, and it gives you the ability to fine-tune and scrub and edit your timeline with a lot more accuracy. It's not something that would be easy to do on your Mac, obviously, unless you had some sort of hardware to work on that, and maybe that will be an option if you have some sort of plug and play hardware. You can use this feature on your Mac in the future if it ever comes, but obviously on an iPad, it's so much easier to use your finger and to kind of pretend like you're using a real dial. Then there's the Pro Camera mode. Obviously, this test was a little strange considering that I'm just kind of looking at the top of my desk, or in some cases it was just nothing, but I wanted to see some of the controls that you can adjust, and that includes exposure, white balance, and there's a couple of different preset options, and takes you to like 3700 Kelvin, tungsten, I don't remember, but those were some of the options there. You can adjust manual focus and so much more. I really hope that this comes to the iPhone with iOS 17 because being able to adjust some of these settings manually is fantastic. Now, Apple Silicon inside the iPad Pro also opens up a few machine learning tools, and the primary one being the one that I wanted to test out that Apple kind of made a big deal about was the scene removal mask. And well, I should have tried it on a better clip. The sample clip was a little bit too busy, but I was pressed for time and just kind of messed around with these features, and it didn't really do a great job of removing the whole background, but I think with a more simple background, like kind of this whole white paper that I got behind me, it might be a bit easier to remove the background and add something in behind me without the use of a green screen, which is great. Now, I will update anyone who wants to know more in the full video, so let me know in the comments down below your questions that you have so far, not just limited to this feature, but anything that we've talked about, and I'll try to answer those. Now, the effects library isn't that robust, but it is something different here and does offer a few new tools that you can kind of have at your fingertips that are ready to download. So there's the effects, transitions, titles, backgrounds, objects that you can add in, like a little bell. kind of doesn't work here with this scene, but I added it in anyways. And there are soundtracks and audio involved, which is really cool. And yeah, again, I'm just kind of not into the whole new inspector window so far, and this being kind of in a different spot, and it looks a little different, and I don't know. The key word is things are different, and it's just going to take some time for me to get used to, and hopefully that's it, and then I'll find this a more intuitive and fluid experience. But as of right now, you know, just a little different. When you're all done with your project, you can obviously easily hit the share button here on the top, and you'll be able to export your video project, export audio only, get a screenshot, and you can fine tune all of those settings just like you would on your desktop. And so yeah, that wraps up my, you know, Final Cut Pro first impressions. I'm not going to dwell on the different UI too much, but it did kind of bum me out that so much of this is different right now. And so it's just going to take a little bit of time. But I did use my keyboard with it, and a lot of the keyboard shortcuts that we know and love are also there. And so that makes it a little bit of a better experience. I don't necessarily love the iPad cursor. I never really did. And here it just makes things a little different because you kind of have to like snap to specific options. And so I feel like that slows me down. But overall, keyboard works really well, and so does the trackpad. And then for you Logic fans, I am not a huge user of Logic. I haven't used it professionally in over 10 years now. So I am not probably the best person to comment on this, but I did open it up. The app looks really great. It works really well so far. And I did want to mess around with the Beat Breaker new tool that you have where you can easily create new beats. There are courses available, so something that you should definitely familiarize yourself with. Take those courses. I kind of blew past mine super quickly just to get an idea of what Beat Breaker was like. But you kind of just use your finger to adjust the certain areas of the beat, and then there are some preset configurations down there. You can cut it down to half time. You can have it repeat. There's a bunch of different things that I was messing around with. I have no idea what half of these things mean anymore, but I'm looking forward to kind of diving in and experiencing a full-fledged Logic Pro on your iPad. I do want to plug in an instrument. I play guitar, so I'm going to look into doing that and seeing how easy it is to just get your guitar, plug it into your iPad, and see how quickly it records and just how well it sounds. But of course, let me know in the comments down below if there's anything specific that you want me to check out, and if enough of you ask, then I might be able to do that for you. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.